What is up, man? I've got one of my favorite friends on the Real Estate Gene podcast, David Bentinck. Man, he is awesome. So I met David. I actually met him at an event, but I saw him on social media a lot. And he was hanging out with a cat named Jay Kinder. And then I realized he kept pumping out videos, and they were really good videos. And then we connected. And then what I realized is every time we connected, he would give me some sort of piece of advice, some sort of help. And then we met in person, same guy. Awesome, always willing to give, and super successful. Welcome to the podcast, brother. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, Gene, I appreciate it, man. I'm excited to be here and hopefully drop some value on your audience, man. It's gonna be a fun one.
Right on, right on.
Yes,
So,
sir.
man, tell me about a little bit about how you came up and what put you in real estate. And man, I know your backstory, but give it to the audience, man. So,
Yeah, dude. So, one second. Sorry about that, boss.
you good?
Had a call come in. So, in high school, I was never the smartest kid in school, right? I just tried to sit next to them. And that's kind of been my claim to fame, if you will, right? The funny thing is that with that quote, I still find it true to this day. I do my best to surround myself with people who have the answers to some of my most challenging questions in all areas of your life. I truly believe that everybody needs a coach in their life, and spiritually, business, relationshiply. I believe in being a professional knowledge seeker. So I learned at an early age the principles of hard work and really the value of honesty, man, how that really goes a long way. I began my entrepreneurial venture, I would say probably about 16. I was maybe a sophomore or a junior in high school. I would go into like estate sales, right? And I would buy things that I could go off and later sell for a profit. A big thing now, and I wish I could still do this. I wish I still had my truck. I actually sold my truck when I got into real estate. I had a 2011 Dodge Ram. I loved her. But I made a business decision and decided to give her up and give me a more gas efficient car because, in this business, you're just driving all over the place. So I still wish I had that truck. So what I would do is I go into estate sales and I would buy what I could. Washers and dryers were a big thing. Couches were a big thing. So I started just flipping stuff, man. And I was going into estate sales, and also around that time, I was really having a hard time struggling, trying to find myself and what direction I wanted to go in life. And, around that same time, my passion for real estate started to grow after hearing, how a lot of self-made millionaires created wealth through real estate. I was reading a lot of, personal development books, self-development books. And then soon after college, man, I went to go pursue a career in real estate. I actually dropped out of college. So I actually, like to tell people that I attended the School of Hard Knocks, right? I found my strive in about year 3 of being a real estate agent in the Dallas Fort Worth marketplace. That's where I'm at now. And I'm just always up for the challenge and determined to change the reputation people hold for agents, man. In this business, I believe, that we're at an all-time low as far as like commission compression. I think people just aren't really seeing the value. So I'm always trying to strive and innovate the process of buying and selling and making that experience better, for my clients, man. This is my passion. You know, I'm always trying to improve the quality of the real estate process. In doing so, for 2021, I gained widespread recognition in the Dallas Fort Worth marketplace, including winning the 2021's Rise and Grind Hardest Working Realtor Award. So, by doing this, man, I've found the value in pouring back not only into my clients and other real estate agents, but also, just giving back into my community, right? And so I created a couple of Facebook groups that give back to my community. I created a Facebook group. I'm also adding value to other agents as well. In doing so, we have a lot of people coming to me trying to partner with me nationwide through our platform, which is eXp Real Estate, man. At the end of the day, I'm a stubborn visionary with a big heart. I'm always willing to help anybody who's willing to help themselves. I believe in creating leaders who create leaders.
Man, and I'll tell you one thing that I've noticed is you immediately, the first time I met you in person, and even just conversing on social media, you're immediately wanting to give back and you immediately care about others. And one of the things my coach is telling me is if you can just forget about yourself for a minute and
Mhm.
pour into others and add value everywhere you go, it's huge. And I've met a lot of impactful people, but what was really noticeable to me, man, was you go out of your way to help folks. Even when we went out at one of these events one night, you texted me the next morning just to check and make sure everybody got back. My son got back,
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, and you seem very selfless, man. Was there something in life that kind of turns you that way, or is that just that's how you're built? Or
That's a great question. You know, having great parents, having great role models, having a great family life. I'm very grateful, and that I have that opportunity. That I came from a great upbringing. One of my mentors, man, our mentors, Jay Kinder, Michael Reese. They taught me this concept is that, really, there's really no such thing as money, right? And it's kind of hard for people to wrap their head around this. So I'm going to kind of break this down a little bit. Have you ever heard this concept that there's just no such thing as money?
I have not, man. I'm all
No?
ears.
Okay, I'm about to put you on game, man.
All
So,
right.
I believe money doesn't exist. I don't know if you ever read that book, The Creature from Jekyll Island.
Mm-hmm.
You have?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So,
Then that our Federal Reserve System is really not a bank at all, right?
that's right.
In fact, it's just an open checkbook where money just, kind of pumped into the economy and just printed on paper notes, that we call, money. And just the reality is, and I studied a lot about this, man. I really kind of went down a deep rabbit hole. Again, professional knowledge seeking, man. I want to make sure that I'm educated as possible, just so I can go off and know what I'm doing and know what I'm telling. Is that the reality is, man, when we're born, there's a predetermined amount of money that's just earmarked to be put into the market. And, based on the supposed amount of value you would bring into the economy in the future. Now, what that means, Gene, is that, really just money is a symbol of value. And obviously, this is where I'm getting with this, right? Is that, the more value that you create in your life, the more money you will create, right? Now, this is kind of like a profound thought and just kind of hard for people to wrap their head around it, but you can't ignore it if you want to be successful. I believe if you focus on bringing the most possible value to one person and then just doing that over and over and over again, that you're going to have all the money that you desire. Wake up wake up every day, just be thankful, be grateful for what you have every day in your life, man. I do that on a daily basis. I never skip that part. And just focus on adding values to who you have the privilege of, being in contact, man, with whoever you feel you have the privilege of being in contact with, just like, great people like yourself, man. Just like you said, the first moment you met me, I was always willing to give you and share you anything, right? I was an open book. Anytime you asked about it, man, I answered it. So, if the first second you think about money and not the value, you're going to get taken out like a quarterback getting sacked, bro. So, that's kind of like where my mindset really changes. Okay. If I just, just like Zig Ziglar, man, the more people you help, eventually the more people who you help and help them get what they want, eventually you're going to get what you want. Right. And so that's what I kind of focus. It's one of my core values is that principle. And so once I finally realized that, started implementing it, I started to see everything shift in my direction.
Right on. And you talked about education, and it brings me back to something that you and I have talked about is you dropped out of college.
Yep.
My son recently dropped out of college, and our conversation went just like this. And I think there's a lot of people that right now the return on investment in college is not what it used to be. And I
Right.
think the conversation is with technology and everything else. I feel like if you can really hone in on what you want to learn, who you want to be, there's a faster and better way. What's your take on that?
Man, you're absolutely right. I don't see the value in college anymore unless you're going to go into a career field that obviously requires that sort of higher education, such as doctor, lawyer, et cetera. But personally, for me, a great quote that Nipsey Hussle says: "If you look around and you don't get inspired, you don't have a circle, you got a cage." And when I stepped foot on university, nobody was really passionate about what they were doing. Man, you had kids with their heads down in their books, sleeping. You've got this monotone professor, kind of like Ferris Bueller,
Yep.
right? It kind of reminded me of that, and I immediately, man, once I realized that, because I have a great sense of awareness, I was like, man, this isn't for me. I didn't feel right, and so real estate has really brought me into several positions and also in contact with several different experiences that I never thought possible. Right. And so I believe that, when it comes down to education, modeling is the best form of education, right? If you're able to surround yourself with that person who, have the results that you want, then, you're able to get a Harvard level college education in that field, right? For instance, my team leader who brought me on to EXP, Nick Good, I mean, he was selling over 200 homes a year. He just had everything that I wanted, right? And so once I finally got in his proximity, I was able to soak up whatever he was teaching like a sponge, right? So that's what I believe, man. If you're able to model success, whatever you're trying to do, whether that's real estate, whatever business aspect, there's somebody out there who has done and has the results you want. And if you can find them, model their success, I promise you, whatever it took them to take 10 years to do, you can model it and do it in 3, 4, 5, because they've got the shortcuts, man. They know what not to do, right? And you can avoid all those pitfalls and mistakes, and obviously wasting money and time. I believe time is the most valuable commodity that we have on this planet.
Absolutely. Our coach always talks about collapsing time. It's John Kitchens. He always uses the term collapsing time, and the only way to collapse time and grow your business at a faster rate is to get a coach. 100%. Everything else is just kind of in between and still trying to figure things out. So I thought that you're on point, man. Absolutely.
For sure.
So I noticed that you have a huge social media following.
Yep.
And I know why, because it's very genuine, and every time I log in there, I get tons of value. But how much attention do you put on that, and does a lot of your business come from that following?
So yeah, man, I believe social media is a new resume, right? I believe the social media is a new resume, man. Immediately, I even have clients who I go on listing appointments. They said, "Hey, we saw your Facebook. We like what you do," right? And so obviously, people are watching. People are watching what you're doing. Even if you're not getting X amount of likes, people are looking. And I always try to post the most valuable content, man. I get a lot of people reaching out to me. I get a lot of people asking questions. I had an agent reach out to me and said, "Hey, I really want to pick your brain on what you're doing to make all these phone calls, man, because I'm a big prospector. I'm making over 300 phone calls a day." And so social media has been a big way for me to connect with other like-minded individuals like you. Obviously, we met virtually on social media first before we ever met in person. Right. And obviously that sort of, connection and relationship building led me to being on your podcast today, which I'm very thankful for, by the way.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
And so obviously we built a great, in this world of being so caught up in being busy, I believe social media is very powerful when it comes to building relationships. And obviously we use it with very intentional strategies. We can build and cultivate some massive relationships. I'm able to connect with people who I never thought I would have proximity, like our mentor, Mr. Jay Kinder, man. I'm always keeping up with him on social media, just to kind of get a sneak peek of what's going on in his life. He's always sharing stuff, what's happening in my life. And, social media has been very powerful. I believe that my following came from just adding value into the marketplace. Just like I said, there's all this money that's kind of floating around in the marketplace, man. All you got to do is add value and, just make those deposits and you can make it withdraw. And so I try to be my authentic self, man. I really don't want to become or come off of somebody who can't walk the walk either, right? If I'm talking the talk, I can't, I got to be able to walk the walk. So I try to become my most authentic self. And I feel like people want to see that as well, man. They want to see who the real Gene is, right? They don't want to see, oh, closing here, closing there. They just don't want to talk about real estate. We need to become, and I had to change this mindset. We need to become that person. I need to be David, who just so happens to be, an agent, right? Not the other way around. I need to be an agent who just happens to be David, right? Because I feel like, if we're able to capture somebody with who we are truly authentically, then they feel like they know, like, and trust you. And obviously, if we share our same belief systems, right? People do business with people who share the same beliefs, man. And so if I'm, putting that out into the marketplace, social media, they're going to feel like they know me, man. I go into conferences all the time. Like, man, I watch you on social media all the time, man. I was like, damn, that's a good feeling, Gene. It's a really good feeling, man. It kind of humbles me a little bit that, I'm making so much impact without even realizing it.
I've experienced the same thing because of you. That's why I was so excited to meet you, man. It's like you're the most humble, kind guy, but from a social media and real estate standpoint, I'm like, this guy's a rock star, a celebrity, man. I'll be honest, I was a little nervous when I met you, and that took about 2 minutes till I realized who you. I mean, not to realize who you were, but got to experience who you were, and it was just one of the most comfortable things in the world, man. So that's awesome. So Here's the thing that I thought was unique. So a lot of younger people coming into real estate, man, they rely strictly on social media, and a
Yep.
lot of these old school cats, they'll pick up the phone type. And I've
Yep.
noticed with you, man, you're well rounded and balanced. With
Yep.
you kill it on the phones, you kill it on social media, both of which are, in my opinion, the two main things you can do to dominate business.
100%.
Everybody has that unique gift in real estate. So with you being so balanced, man, what do you think that unique gift is for you?
The power of connection, 100%. The power of connecting with people. Like I'm a big prospector. I'm a big cold caller. It doesn't take me very long to pinpoint somebody's, where somebody's having struggle or pain. And if you want to be interesting, be interested, right? And so I try to ask questions as much as I can, try to get to know that person more, to get a deeper understanding of what they're going through, man. And so I believe if we're able to translate that into social media, cold calling, you're going to be ahead of the game. So I believe, the power of, having the ability to create connections over the phone too, right? If anybody's watching, I don't know if you might be in it, Gene, I'm not too sure, but I have a private Facebook group called Keeping It Real in Real Estate.
Mm-hmm.
Are you in it by chance?
I am.
Yeah. And so I go live cold calling. I call expired listings. I call, straight up, circle prospecting listings. I call home evaluation listings. I called old expired data, old cancels for sale by owners. My team, we have a hopper set up where I'm able to just call and just dial away, but they're still cold, right? They don't know me. So if anybody's interested in seeing how I operate and what I do to create connections and have, great conversations, or just want to kind of see what I do, definitely go find that Facebook group. Yeah, man, the power of connecting definitely is 100%. And that, again, it comes down to being authentic, staying true to yourself, and just really hammering down your core values, man. Having your core values, you want to find the right people that's going to attract themselves to you. Right. One of my core values that I absolutely love and live by is the 100-0 core value, man. Have you heard of it?
I have.
100-0, man. Just for the audience, it's 100% accountability, 0% excuses, man. If you fuck up, you own that shit. You realize what you did. You ask your mentors, what could I have done differently? Right. And never, ever give an excuse.
Absolutely. I love 100-0. Albie Stasic sent me a 100-0 sticker, man. I saw him flashing one of those, and I knew what it was beforehand, but I thought that was really cool, man. And I've actually adopted that, and it's a great piece. So I love it, man. I'm thinking Jay, did that originate with Jay and Mike, or?
I did get that from Jay. Yep.
Right on.
Yep.
So I noticed that you're great at attracting agents because you're so helpful with them. So what would you say to a new agent that's coming into the business, or an agent that's maybe a $1 to $2 million producer that's trying to break through and just get to that next level? What do you think that the most important thing they could do is?
I would say really, first and foremost, really get an idea and write down what exactly they want their business to look like, right? Because obviously we need to focus. If we're going to grow our business, we need to focus on finding motivated buyers and motivated sellers, right? It's very simple, right, but not easy. Okay. And just realize that there's two ways of doing this. It's either through marketing, which is more of a reactive style, which is social media, and prospecting, right, which is more of a proactive approach, which is cold calling, door knocking, hell, even the new way, which is DMing on social media, right? That's a form of prospecting. That's a form of more of an outbound reach, right? And so when you realize and wrap your head, okay, these are just the two options, man, that are at my availability and disposal, right? Really figure out which one you want to go to, and just realize, like, okay, if you do marketing, right, because let's be honest, Gene, this business is by no means sexy. Right. There's weeks in a row where I'm just in my office 8 to about 7. Right. And obviously breaks in between, and the gym is a big deal for me as well. But I'm in the office cold calling, following up with clients, putting out fires. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that, a lot of agents think that this is a sexy business. They see a lot of agents creating reels, TikToks, which is great, and obviously that's marketing, that's more of a reactive approach. That is something that's not scalable. I love prospecting. I love, doing outbound kind of style reaches. Prospecting, cold calling is my biggest thing. door knocking, sliding in people's DMs, even, sending people a piece of value. I use Keeping Current Matters, the blog. And if I see a great article on why maybe a homeowner should take advantage of the market, I'll send it to them. That's outbound. That's proactive marketing. Get them excited about things. So for a new agent looking to double their business, obviously that would be the first thing I'll look at. Second thing I'll look at is probably seeing exactly where your business is coming from now and doubling down on it. A lot of them is probably going to be referrals and sphere base. How do you, triple down on that, right? In our EXP organization, I saw this, we have in our EXP world, iConversations, where these top real estate teams and mega agents can come to what they do, like a weekly training. And they're always willing to share their tips and success. One of them, which I thought was brilliant. It's such a simple idea, was taking your clients out to dinner or lunch after closing. Right. And this icon agent, she was selling over 300 homes a year, increased her referral based business, I think, by 85%, just by taking their clients out to dinner after closing.
So just hanging out.
Just, again, being David, who just happens to sell real estate. Right. People do business who share the same beliefs. People do business who they know, like, and trust, man. And so just hanging out. That's crazy, man. And so that's what I started to implement, getting to know that person, having that affinity to that person, man, is going to propel you to, different heights. So again, I would look at an agent's, business, where they're coming from now, see exactly how you can double down on that. And, if you want to add, if you want to double, you can either triple down on what you're doing now or add another lead generation strategy, whether that's, doubling down on the marketing or cold calling or prospecting. Now, how are you going to do that, man? You've got to find that person who has the results you want. Get around them, model their success, man. I mean, that's the biggest advice I would give new agents, is put yourself in proximity to these people. Tony Robbins always says proximity is power, and, it'll change your life, being surrounded by the right people.
That's awesome, man. Well, and I'm glad I'm surrounded by you, brother. So, and I want to ask this, because you've got a great group up under you. And a lot of times, agents will jump for other companies, and a lot of times the agents want to join EXP.
Yeah.
And I have found that you're one of the best communicators of what the advantages are to doing that. So how do they find you, and how do they look up your stuff and connect with you?
Just anybody, or how are these people how are these people who are joining me at EXP finding me?
No, just anybody that's watching this podcast. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put your Keeping It Real below, and then all your information, but just want to know how they can contact you.
Yeah. I mean, the two best ways right now is social media, my cell phone, which is 214-384-1630. Instagram and Facebook, you can go find me at David Bentinck. My last name is kind of very unique. It's actually European. My mom, she's from Mexico. My dad, he has European descent. Apparently my last name is from like the Netherlands, like kind of Dutch royalty.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm just waiting on a phone call and say, hey, man, you're a king, so I'm just waiting on that phone call. So I'm just enjoying the journey until then. But my Instagram handle, just anywhere, Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, it's at David Bentinck, DavidBentinck.
Right on, man. And I'll put it in the notes for everybody too.
Cool.
Well, man, you've been a blessing to me in just the short time we've known each other, and I can't wait to further our relationship, and then adding value to all the people that watch this podcast is just huge, man. I can't thank you enough for coming on today.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited to drop this in the marketplace, and hopefully an agent gets any sort of value. Anybody looking to grow their business, EXP or not, hit me up, hit Gene up. We're always an open book and willing to share all our tips and success. We believe in collaboration over competition here at EXP.
Right on, brother. Man, thank you for joining us.
Appreciate you, Gene.
See you.